All right, so just a quick look at a few of the charts and that a little bit later this morning. Just got to make this one a bit of a quick one, but start off with Aussie because really sort of it's just been selling down quite sort of strong last sort of day and a half or so, which isn't a shocker. I mean, we knew this was a pretty much a sort of a high time frame resistance area. Plus, we had the break on subsequent sort of retest to the high of this wedge that had been coming through previously. So yesterday we had that little bit of data out, a little bit of data out. We had the rate decision, which is about as big as they get for in terms of the economic calendar, and obviously the RBA decided to hold rates. So it was a bit of a double whack with it all because they decided to hold the rates, but on top of that as well, they had a bit more of a dovish tone. So I was looking for at least a little bit of a sort of a hawkish rhetoric and talk about it, but obviously nothing to really sort of push it on. So this gave us a little bit of a drop down. And if you sort of saw the little news review data drop video I did yesterday, these are the levels that we sort of identified from previously having them marked out, sort of going back through these areas. We can see that these are points where the market has valued it previously. So, these were the sort of the expected levels for the price to sort of come down to after the news drop. And this was the news drop coming down through here and really tried to sort of hold this area and it ground along here a lot, obviously sort of giving way to it. And then sort of coming into this lower level down here. So at the moment, we've got a little bit of a sort of channel. This is on the 1 hour, and we're poking our nose up out the sort of top side of it. So we're through sort of channel resistance on the 1 hour. So obviously 1 hour, not a massive like sort of trend changing sort of time frame, but for short-term trades, these are definitely ones where we can sort of capture a couple of points here and there. What we want to do is get above this level here. So we know that obviously they were trying to hold at support, It did act as resistance. I'll get to this in 1 second. And as you can see right now, it's coming up here and rejecting from this level again. So you really want to get back up above this level. And then we've got a tinier sort of smaller kind of resistance just through this zone here. So if we can, above, was it 65.85 would be a nice sort of confirmation that this would be its little bottom area down here. Till you can get above this first one here at 65.70, then you're really sort of looking like a sort of could be just a bit of either a failed breakout or a bit of a sort of back test of the 65.50 area here before trying to sort of push on a little bit further. I do notice the RSI is pushing into overbought area already, and as well we just had Aussie GDP figures coming out, and they did come in a touch weaker than expected. So just bear with 1 second. So yeah, look, I mean, even this, it was an expectation that previously 0.4 expected to go up 0.5, but they put in a measly 0.2%, as Aussie tends to do. So obviously this has put a little bit of a clamp on things. So yeah, we're going to see some volume coming in pretty soon as DXY sort of comes online. And I expect, we're probably just going to grind along the downside here. I mean, again, look, if US dollar sells off, Aussie will appreciate just based on that. But certainly we're not sort of kicking any goals on our own home front. We did have this little spike up here last night, overnight, though. This was from the US data that came out. We had the JOLTS report and also, what was it? I think it was PMIs, was it? ISM services PMI. So a bit of a mixed lot of data there. We had the expectation was a slight increase on the PMI, services PMI, ISM number to 52.2, came in at 52.7. So that's positive for the US dollar, but the JOLTS missed by a bit to the downside. So they're expecting a marginal slowdown. Last month's number was revised to 9.35 million, I should say. Expected a slight slowdown to 9.31, came in at 8.73. So basically, these are job openings. So, it's a bit of a snapshot of how the businesses are doing because obviously, when are you taking on new like advertising for more workers? Well, you're doing that when business is booming, when business is going well, when confidence is up. You know what I mean? If you're scared that you're not going to be able to meet your monthly quotas and you've got to cut costs and you've got to really clamp down, you're not going to be taking on more employees. That's the time that you're going to be going, well, let's just work with who we've got right now. When things improve, then we'll take on more staff. So the JOLTS is the job openings number. And the fact that they're expecting 9.3 million, they got 8.7 million is negative for the US dollar. So you've got one bit of data with the services PMI being positive, one lot of data being negative for the US dollar, and subsequently gave us this little spike up here, but pretty quickly, bang, just got smashed straight into. So yeah, it wasn't really sort of too much to take with it all. As for the here and now, I'd like to sort of see above 65.85 to sort of show some sort of further continuation. I do like that it's coming out of this little channel. We've got 15 minutes left now. As I said, volume's going to be coming in. Either we're just going to come back down here with a high wick. If this does happen, then I expect a further push to the downside, and possibly 65.20 being the next sort of level. And you've got to remember as well, on a high time frame, this is the 23% here, this pink line, this is only 38%. So we're still in, overall big picture pullback area, but it's been quite sharp. So I wouldn't be surprised if even a little push up to give us a bit of a lower high to come down further if that is the course that it decides to take. But the here and now Asia session here, I would probably expect a little bit of a push to the upside. Gold still really sort of been pushing anybody that got in early on those, got in early, got in late, got in early on the pump. Anyone that bought through here, people that tried to catch the knife, they tried to catch the knife, came down here, and people like, I actually sort of got a couple of nice sort of longs through here. I thought we may have got back up into this zone as per yesterday's video, but obviously we can see, and this goes to show, it doesn't matter what time frame, what you're trading. This is support, this is support, this is support, this is support, and now what does it do? It's resistance, resistance, and it's resistance. So for us to really sort of say, hold on, wait, here we go with gold, we want to get above this sort of, let's call it 2040 level to sort of say that we can prove ourselves up here. We are seeing it sort of come in where we've seen previously, this lower level here. And these were obviously those sort of resistance levels. I mean, if you go back far enough, back far enough in that, if you go back through it all, 2020 has been a fairly prominent sort of level sort of through the time. So it has been a bit of a resistance that we've had to deal with previously. And now we're obviously seeing this area where it ground last time act as a bit of a support. If we can get a push back up here, there's a good chance that we are looking at calling these people a little bit of a trap, because people are thinking, well, I've shorted it from the top and they're still holding, or maybe people are sort of late to the party with the short and they think, hold on, wait, we're going to see a $200 meltdown here. So DXY has just come online and we've got a small little gap up. Okay, let's see how this plays out. But yeah, so we've got gold attempting to sort of get up off the lows here. As I said, it's just really snapping people out. Like, people that are trying to catch the knife, people that are trying to sort of get into it. And as I've been saying, like time and time again, this was the move that you came up with here. So, where was the previous highs? The 2072. So, and this is what I was saying in the video. If you go back and watch what I was saying in the video, you say, why do people want to buy it when it's 1% or, less than 1% from previous all-time highs? I mean, you've bought here, you've taken your profit here. What do you want to do? Buy back here and then have it come back here. Basically, you're just giving back all your profit. No, you're going to wait till it comes back to a decent level. Wait till you get a bit of a retracement coming down. I mean, what are we at now? This is a fair distance. I mean, there's a 7% pullback. That's a massive move. If you think this like explosion to all-time highs was big, well, look at the size of this now. I mean, this is just a monster move to the downside. So, this is a decent level where you could start to sort of think that people might be valuing it again and might be going, hey, you know what? It's pretty good. We've snapped out enough sort of people that got in, enough tiers have been bought up, and now sort of like, let's rip it back up again. And again, sort of like, the levels that we need to pass are this one, which is the 2037. 2037, yeah, 2037. Then above that, so we've got 2050, above that, 2075, and kind of, I guess, it may be above that, 2089. These are the levels that we need to get above, and these are previous sort of highs, um, previous levels that we've seen the market's valued as support, resistance. Let's show that there's no more selling that wants to be done here, and look for the next level where we know there's been selling. Let's see if they're done, and then further and further on. Certainly, I think this last little push down here is coming out with a nice little sort of. I'll get this out of the way. If we look at this, this is again just on the 1 hour, but if you look at this move down through here, and you look at the subsequent move with the buying and the selling, as people know, like I love the negative divergence, and this last push down here has obviously come in on a higher, well, sort of not as strong sort of selling to take out this low down here. So it means that this is weakening a little bit, puts it in the favor of a bit of a reversal, and I think it's about time to sort of see some sort of some reprieve on gold and sort of really sort of push up through the end of the week. So let's flip across to DXY quickly. As we're seeing, this is outside and nice little back test of the channel here as well. So, it's just still moving on. I thought we would have got a bit more of a rejection from this level to come back down here, but it's still grinding higher. These were the levels, where were they? So this is where we sort of marked out, or we didn't mark it out, but this is where we called out the other day. That this would be the next stop at the completion of these. And, we've got, what's this, 09 to 12, we got within 3 cents of that level that we called out on the video on, when was this, Monday? The week's flying along. So, we're pushing along here, and this is what I was saying as well. This is the sort of part here where we were potentially getting this negative divergence, but we needed to get underneath this candle to confirm it. We obviously didn't. We got a little bit of a sort of support area and pushed up here. As you can see, negative divergence is obsolete, and that didn't play out for us. So I will clean these charts up so we can work out a bit of a better plan sort of moving forward. But the short here and now, as I said, we're back up into this overbought area. We've got 1, 2, 3 drives up higher here. So we could probably almost sort of drag out a bit of a rising support through here. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the fact that it's got outside this falling resistance, yeah, it's something to take note of for sure. But at the moment, I would like to see for downside, it to sort of get, let's get some of these out of the way. Underneath this sort of rising support, which seems to be playing its part a little bit here. So if we sort of look at this and we're sort of saying, okay, look, here it's respected it, closed above it, kind of respected it through here. This little line through here, which we'll put an alert on, rising support. A breakthrough here will sort of really be very strong for obviously Aussie upside and gold upside as well. I mean, there's a little bit of room for it to move even if it were to sort of bounce up a little bit higher. But if we join these highs up here as well, this is not a great wedge, but it's not too bad. But certainly it's not really running as a channel. This would be it as a channel. You'd want to sort of see it pump up to here, complete, up, down, up, down, up, down. You'd want to see it push up to the top side here to see further gains. So then we'd be looking at the channel. But at the moment, it's really sort of starting to do a bit more of this tighter moves across over here. So this means that it's becoming down, it's favoring currently more of a sort of wedge pattern. And obviously wedge patterns are reversal patterns. And that way, then we can sort of be looking back down to these lower levels. Obviously, there's some support levels we need to get down underneath, but we're certainly seeing a little bit of a flare up here. I'm still in the camp of down for DXY. Flip across to copper, and copper has really sort of taken a bit of a whack here. I thought it would have held this zone here, but it's punching down. Look, this is why we have the take profit zones, because, or the price targets as well, because, if we don't hit these zones, I mean, if we don't sort of jump off a little bit once these zones are sort of done, these are the kind of moves that you can see come subsequently afterwards. And this is, again, that's 4%. And that's 4% in, since I guess Saturday you'd call it, but realistically we almost got up there on Monday on the open. So 4% in two full sessions kind of thing. So yeah, that's definitely a bit of a sort of knockback there. And we can get rid of this for now just to clear it up so we don't get confused. But yeah, so we've got the lower sort of support area coming down in here, which we've seen sort of like, it got down in this area here and then sort of jack-eyed sort of straight back up into things. And particularly when things come down, it's such a steep sort of gradient. Like there's no reprieve here. Look at this. Every single one of these is a bearish candle. Generally, when you see it so tight down like this, there's a lot of room for it to sort of springboard and shoot straight back up. Not necessarily coming straight the back up over here, but certainly getting a fast move back up as well. When you sort of see them maintain these sort of moves down, generally you'll see a little bit of more buying, down, buying, down, buying, down, these kind of things. But when it's just one sort of move like this, I'd expect a move probably back up to sort of 385 around this area, which we've seen previously as our sort of top of the range, the sort of support areas here. And then sort of, we sort of work out what happens here. And maybe we get a little bit more of this kind of price action sort of happening to the right-hand side here, something like this. But yeah, certainly it's due for a little bit of a bounce here, which again goes in line with, even though we had sort of weak Aussie data, a bit of a time for it to sort of push back up. I think this has obviously come off at the same time as gold has been selling off. Different metals, but both obviously metals. This is more industrial. Okay, and we'll go across to China quickly. And China actually showing signs of life. Oh, look at this. Came up and tested that wick high. Pretty much right to the cent though, didn't it? Alright, so mark this one out because certainly if they get above this, we could be seeing a bit more of a move up to the top side here. But look, again, it's not anything to be sort of like, wow, here we go, we're turning around. We've seen US dollar buying across the board as gold has been sold off. We knew the expected buyers were going to be here. Like, this is not a shock. This is going to be a very tough nut to crack, and that's why we've got the alert set up to the downside of it. So this is obsolete now because it didn't break through to there. But certainly, I mean, it's just been coming down. Topside moves over here. I mean, you could really see it come back up and test this sort of level over here and sort of see something like this, and maybe make this a little bit of a channel if we link this one up. No, not particularly. That's not too bad. Possibly. I'm not completely sold on this lower level here, but just because we've got such an empty area over here. But I suppose it gives us a large empty area over here. Topside levels, though, I think sort of like this sort of falling resistance could see a bit of a channel. If you go way back on a lot of my videos, actually, I'll find what date it was. But this was the exact plan that we said was going to happen, that we'd get the break and then we'd start to see a channel coming down in this kind of direction down here. But we've known that this is going to be a very tough area to break through. It means a lot once this is broken. So no doubt buyers are trying to sort of defend this a little bit and push it up. We are seeing a little bit of a sell-off from these sort of areas along here. So call it that, make it a range. That's pretty much just where we're at the moment. All right, cool. That's about it from me.